Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. I will be joined by my co-host, Jeff, in a bit. First things first, do not forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. It's on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify with Joe Rogan. And do not forget to check out our YouTube channel. It's the Mixer channel on YouTube. Links are in the show notes. And if you could rate and review, that would help us get a more prominent feature on search lists when people Google Low T Sports Podcast. We want to be top of the charts, or at least top 5, top 3. I mean, we're nowhere near that, but yeah. Anyway, that'll help. Spread the word. And yeah, let's get more people involved. Gonna start with tilts like we always do. Not too much. I mean, I'm still going through the trifecta of hell with PayPal, Airbnb, and Discover. Just went through another round of each one referring me to the other and saying, well, we can't do anything because, because of reasons we already said. Really frustrating. So, I mean, I don't really have much time to tilt anything else at this point because, I mean, this is just occupying all my very, very limited free time. I suppose another tilt, which we can go over in the next segment in transition, is the Padres in baseball season in general. I believe the 60 game COVID season last year kind of broke my brain. Every game I mean, maybe it's just because the Padres have played the Dodgers, those evil, the evil blue crew, that, I mean, every pitch just seems so tense and, feels like almost like a playoff environment, or maybe it's just because we didn't get much baseball last year. But yeah, when the boys in Brown finally got a day off on Monday, I mean, I was exhausted. I needed the day off, and not even, just as a fan. What a series. Fernando Tatis got 5 home runs in 3 games. He had a pair of 2 home run days. He did it. He hit 2 home runs on the same day on the calendar in LA that his father hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. Again against the Dodgers. I got some tweets tying that into how the simulation is just plotting these Easter eggs. You had the double play, Cronenworth and Tatis, which was just insane with the bases loaded. I mean, I don't know how you have a more clutch play in the field than that. And that fell on the anniversary of King Caminetti's famous from his ass throw. I mean, just a rocket over to first base. I mean, just showing what the potential of the human body can accomplish when you're just maxed out on testosterone, andro, and creatine. Um, rest rest in peace, King Caminetti. Welcome back, Jeff. I'm recapping the Padres Dodgers series and how tilting and stressful it was. Obviously, we had the game 1 with the double play to end all double plays. They took care of business in game 2. I mean, I can't even remember what happened. I just know the Padres pulled out to a pretty substantial lead. They dropped game 3, and then game 4, they were down 7-1, made a ridiculous comeback to push it to extra innings. Do you have any thoughts on this series, Jeff, with the Padres taking 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers on the road? and up on the season series 4-3 against the Dodgers, the reigning World Series champions.
I mean, it was huge, right? That was, we talked about it last week. They needed to really go 2-2 at the worst because you don't want to lose too many games to the Dodgers, right? But yeah, going 3-1, and especially that comeback Sunday was really big for them, and I think could be a huge momentum builder going on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Jim Rome, dated as his show might be, still has. I mean, I still am entertained by him. He had a great take on the Padres Dodgers series. He said that if you drop Game 4, even though you split the series, it would have felt lost. And he talked about how the Padres are fearless, how they are the most aggressive team on the base pass. They have the most stolen bases in the league right now, and I mean the Padres are high T. What is this? What is this new world we're living in where the Padres are the aggressor? And I mean, they kind of pushed the Dodgers around a little bit. They threw out their best pitchers both series. I mean, the Padres, I mean, it just felt like it was bullpen days nonstop, but they got it done. They went toe to toe with one of the. I mean, I hope I'm not being hyperbolic by saying it's one of the best teams that there's been on the field for like a decade. I mean, they have, Bueller and Kershaw and Bauer, and it's just an insane rotation. Plus, their hitters too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being hyperbolic about it, but I'm just jazzed. It was a great series. They lost the Diamondbacks last night, but I am pumped. My shillelagh is is peaking right now.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean that wraps up, what's going on with baseball. Awesome to see Tatis. He seems healthy. Knock on wood. We'll see. 13-12, only one game above 500. So, they've had some tough games. Playing teams that have really good records. The next Dodger series is until June, thank God. But yeah, man, I don't know if I can handle 162 games. I felt like 60 was the sweet spot last year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. 162 is a lot, especially once you get that 60-game season, right?
Yeah. All right. Before we move on to our draft coverage, I should have mentioned at the start, this is going to be high, a lot of draft content. I mean, that's probably all we're going to talk about for the rest. Oh, Pulisic scored a goal in a Champions League semifinal, first American to do that. Props to Pulisic. I feel dirty rooting for Chelsea, but hopefully they get through the final. I'd love to see that. That was talking soccer. But do you have any tilts, Jeff, before we move on to our draft stuff?
Currently, no.
All right. So let's get into
How about you?
it. No, I mean,
Did you already do yours?
I already gave my tilts. I'm still trying. I'm still in the trifecta of retail payment hell. But what can you do? All right, so I'm gonna if you're watching along on YouTube, I am going to share my screen. We have our draft sheets. So yeah, it might be useful for you guys to see it. So anywho, that's what we're gonna do here. This is my draft, and then I got Jeff's draft over here. Let's just go through one by one here, or pick by pick. And yeah, we could give our thoughts on what we see happen. Oh, that's my resume. You guys don't need to see that. Don't need to see that.
There you go.
Damn it, I did it again. Numbers. I'm still learning my Mac here, if you can't tell. All right, so Jags at number 1. Urban Meyer's there. He's taking Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they've already said they're taking Trevor Lawrence. My question for you, Jay, I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence as well, going number one as you should. Is he a sure thing? That's really the only question. Is he like Andrew Luck, where he's no doubt about it, or is he like Alex Smith? I guess Alex Smith, when he came out, he wasn't a sure thing, but that's just the first guy that pops into my head. What do you think about Trevor Lawrence as a prospect? T-Law.
Yeah, I mean, well, 5-star recruit, wins the national championship as a freshman. Maybe a little bit underwhelming sophomore and junior years, but that would really only be because his expectations were so high.
Yeah.
You probably, the real reason I think he's number one, I think there's another quarterback that should actually be in the conversation there. I don't think T-Law is like significantly better than Justin Fields. They both 5-star recruits, both have like really outdone themselves. But he's probably got the highest floor. And so I think he's easily the safest QB in the class. You've already seen it. He's been on that national stage. He knows how to handle that pressure. And so, yeah, I mean, pretty much a done deal. I believe I saw something, if you see in my notes, I'm pretty sure he already is set up to receive a signing bonus in Bitcoin from the
Is he?
Jags.
I didn't see that. I saw
Yeah,
that he.
so
I saw that he signed an endorsement deal with Blockfolio, who's been showing up a lot lately.
and that's how he's going to get his Bitcoin, I believe. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Crypto King. Let's go in the orange with the Bitcoin, the Clemson. Yeah, let's do it. I'm all for that. The one thing that I had heard about Trevor Lawrence and the leadership role that he took on some off the field issues this season with there was the whole like the kind of the players union that was forming, where he spoke out about the civil unrest and the civil issues that the country faced last
right.
spring. So, he's, I mean, I'm rooting for the kid. Um, yeah, I think he is the, no doubt about it, number one prospect. I don't know if I'd say he's as guaranteed as like Andrew Luck to be a thing, but, um, yeah,
He's up there.
yeah, and hopefully going to Jacksonville, where not exactly the greatest history producing franchise QBs. Hopefully that's not too much of a detriment to him. All right, so let's go with you for your second pick, because it's probably the most likely to happen. You have Zach Wilson going to the Jets. Do you have? I mean, I know he's not your number 2 rated quarterback, but you just see the Jets going this way.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've heard, read, this is the pick. If this wasn't the pick, I think there would be, it would really like throw some people off.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, this is the one that makes sense right now. He's the one everyone's talking about. As you said, like, I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan. I think he's good. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are really going to bust.
yeah,
But I think if there is one, I think there's two that are more likely than the other three, and I think Zach Wilson is one of them. He, not a particularly great 2018, 2019, but he did have a great 2020. Granted, BYU played almost nobody. Um, so it's kind of, when they were playing good teams, he was kind of iffy. When they played not very good teams, he was a stud, right? So the Jets saw what they needed to see, and it looks like that's who they're taking. I don't agree with it, but that's where it seems to be.
yeah. And so we kind of touched on this last episode where I said, why is everybody just assuming the Jets are going to take Zach Wilson? Like, I hadn't heard anything, definitive, like reported per a source or reported per ownership, or blah, blah, blah. Like, Zach Wilson is expected to be the pick. Everybody's just penciling in Zach Wilson in their mocks. Until recently, I heard two things. I heard, I can't remember I think it was Todd McShay on a podcast. He said he knows Zach Wilson is going to the Jets, and he's an insider. So I mean, I would take that as pretty definitive. And then I also heard from another podcast that Steve Young had said that he knows that Zach Wilson is going to the Jets. So I mean, I found that out after I finished my mock draft board. But hey, I mean, we're trying to make headlines, Jeff, for the brand. So I have the Jets doing the freaking deep fake and taking Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State. Zach Wilson's a smokescreen. They're looking for a quarterback from a bigger school, rather than getting a guy from BYU. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm going. And then part of the reason why, I don't think this, again, I do not think this is likely. I do not think this is, very slim chance, but it would just, I wouldn't be entirely surprised. These are my initial thoughts when San Francisco traded up. I thought, okay, well, they must know something about who the Jets are taking, and that Zach Wilson, they think Zach Wilson's going to be there at 3. Zach Wilson is my second highest QB in the draft, second highest player. And yeah, so anyway, I just, again, reading the tea leaves, conspiracy theory here, but I could see it happening that Jets would go Justin Fields, Niners would go Zach Wilson, but again, unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to agree. I think Justin Fields should be the number 2 pick. I just don't see it happening at this point.
Yeah. So let's go to your number 3 pick, which is, by all indications, going to be Mac Jones. What do you think about Mac Jones to the Niners?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be Justin Fields for a while. It made sense. He runs a 4.4. He's a big name, 5-star recruit, performed. But it looks like it's going to be Mac Jones. I think he'll be fine, but like I see his ceiling as being maybe like Phillip Rivers-ish. Obviously, he's more athletic than that. But he's not one of these guys that's just going to run around and get you, fantasy-wise, and 500, 600 rushing yards a year, right? He might get you 100, 150. I think he'll execute Shanahan's system, and he'll be fine. But I don't see him being – he's like Jimmy Garoppolo plus, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I heard in, I think it was McShay in the same interview, talk about how Waddle and Devonta Smith were really next level in their prep and their understanding of the offense. And I think that paired with Alabama's offensive line, I just think Mac Jones was just surrounded with talent around him, and he executed it, but I think his productivity is going to kind of hinge on the rest of the team, which maybe Kyle Shanahan can get to work because of his schemes, but he's just not going to have the same amount of time that he had at Alabama. So I think he's going to struggle. I see his ceiling as more of like Jared Goff, who I mean has put up great numbers and has looked good at some times, but he's not that generational talent. But games have to be played. I could be entirely wrong. He's not my third-rated quarterback. And then so that puts us on the Falcons. You have Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons at 4. I have I tried to make some headlines here. I have the Denver Broncos trading up here for 4, which I mean we just found out they got Teddy Bridgewater, but I had the Broncos taking Mac Jones after they think that they're getting a steal here. So I mean I like your pick. What do you think about Kyle Pitts here for the Falcons?
I mean, I think he's good. He comes in, he can be the receiving tight end immediately because they're Hayden Hurst there.
Yeah.
But it's too early for a tight end in my opinion. But if you think someone's a generational talent, you take them whenever you can.
Yeah. All right, and then so a lot of eyes are on this next pick with the Bengals, and I mean we kind of split the consensus here. You have the Bengals taking Jamar Chase. I have the Bengals taking Penny Sewell, the Oregon tackle. Why did you go with Chase over an offensive lineman?
I think offensive line is significantly more valuable than a receiver, but you've got T. Higgins there. You've got not Gio Bernard anymore. You got Joe Mixon. Why can't I think of the other receiver that's there?
Tyler Boyd?
What's his? Yeah, you got Boyd there. I think they were on pace, I believe, to throw the most passes in the league last year with Joe Burrow starting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do that, why not get him a real number one weapon? And I just think Jamar Chase is the best receiver in this draft. I think he was probably the best receiver in last year's draft if he'd been able to come out.
Yeah.
So they're also old teammates. Both had insane years in college together. So why not just do it? Pair them up and go for it. Score 35 points a game. See what happens.
Yeah, I could certainly see that. Yeah, I could also see them taking Sewell because of the injury.
Oh, I could too.
Because the injury
don't get me wrong.
that Burrow had. So I think that's the deciding factor. Yeah, I mean it's really a lot of these guys are, it's like these 3. It's Pitts, Chase, Sewell. They can go in any certain order. But I don't see Pitts. I mean, maybe Pitts falls to 7, but anywho, it could be Jamar Chase. It could be Sewell. And then so at 6, I have the Dolphins taking Chase because he's there, and then you have the Dolphins taking Sewell. So, I mean, we're kind of on the same page there. Yeah. And so, I mean, interesting. I did see that apparently the Lions wanted to move up to get Chase, but they couldn't. And that tells me somebody's taking, either the Falcons, the Bengals, or the Dolphins are for sure taking Chase. One of them is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's going in that 4, 5, 6 range. I'd be very surprised if it was 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 5 or 6. I think 5 and 6 are pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah.
I think whichever one goes first, the other one goes second. But I just think with the way the Bengals are trending, I think they go receiver, and the Dolphins seem like, in my notes, I said they seem to be a smart team now with the new. They've got that GM. I think he came from New England, and their coach. They seem to kind of know how to build a team. So I think offensive tackle makes a lot of sense for them there.
Yeah. All right. And then so that takes us to 7. You have the Lions taking Trey Lance. I have the Lions. I have the Lions taking Rashawn Slater, the next best tackle, because I mean it's a high T move, and Dan Quinn wants to hashtag establish the run. What makes you think the Lions, who just got Goff, are gonna want another quarterback?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on this one. Obviously, this is more of a feel type thing, but I think I imagine they did the Goff Stafford trade because they got extra picks for it, and maybe they felt like they owed Stafford something, right? He
Mm-hmm.
was the number one pick. He'd been there for so long, so they thought maybe we'll send him to a good team because we're getting some extra stuff out of it. I don't think they're sold on Goff. Uh, I don't know his contract situation exactly, but I imagine there's a way they can get out of it after this year.
Mm.
Um, so I think I don't know if they're set on taking a quarterback, but I think they see an opportunity. They like Trey Lance, and they say, you know what, he could be a long-term solution at the position. We can't really pass that up. I think that happens, but based on their head coach and things he said, I also like the way you went with the offensive tackle, right? He wants to, break people's kneecaps or whatever. Kind of
Bite
makes
people's
sense to,
kneecaps. He's not a complete
yeah,
savage.
oh my God, kind of makes sense to go offensive or defensive line at that point. But yeah, I just think this is just an opportunity with the way I had the draft falling that Trey Lance or Justin Fields are there. For
Mhm.
whatever reason, it seems like Justin Fields is the fifth out of the five QBs, similar to how Lamar Jackson was a few years ago. And so I think since Trey Lance seems to be number 3 or 4 on most people's boards, I think that's where the Lions go.
Gotcha. So yeah, I had Slater going there. I could also see the Lions trading down, but this is an interesting spot depending on who's selected in the top 6 and who's left. Um, Quarterback needy teams could be looking to jump in there, and the Lions,
Yeah,
who are
I
kind of
also
rebuilding, and they're going to be a few years away. They could, given the right package, they could accumulate something.
Right. I also do want to say, like, I think there are going to be, especially as, maybe Trey Lance or Justin Fields start to drop. I think we're going to see maybe 1, 2, 3 trades
Yeah,
up in the first round. I didn't include those because I don't really know who's talking about what. I don't want to
yeah,
speculate on that.
it's very hard
So
to
I just
predict.
went with, yeah, I just went with like what team is there now. It's going to make the trade, but like I could see, I see I put Devontae Smith to the Cardinals at 16. That's a matchup I actually think is probably going to happen. But from some of the things I've heard, I think it's more likely to happen up around like the 12, 11, 10 spot rather than the 16 spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends. Trades are so hard to predict, right? But I'm kind of with you as these quarterbacks, as you get further away from the top 5, I think it becomes easier to trade up as well. And we'll see maybe the Patriots, if, Trey Lance or Justin Fields or Mac Jones or whoever falls to like 10, 11, I could see the Patriots going, hey, we're only 5 picks away. Let's trade up and get one of these guys, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the first. I mean, the way the first 10 picks are going to shake out, it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, it's going to be wild. I can't wait. I'm super excited to see how it all goes down tomorrow. So Carolina sits at 8. You have the Panthers taking the offensive tackle Rashawn Slater, so that he can help out with Darnold and build up that O line. Obviously, with McCaffrey there, it doesn't hurt to have good blockers in front of him. I have we have at least one quarterback falling in my draft with Trey Lance still available, and I see the Patriots moving up here. I think the Panthers rolled Darnold, and the Patriots go up to get Trey Lance. They could also take Fields here. Apparently, if he's on the board, I mocked Fields going earlier, but if he's on the board, maybe they roll Fields over Lance because apparently Cam Newton has a connection with Fields. So I could see them working well together while Fields kind of, gets acclimated to the NFL. So this can be a definite trade target spot here at 8. And then at 9, so this is where the Denver Broncos are sitting. You have them taking Patrick Surtain, cornerback, first defensive player off the board, very highly rated. Surtain, and then in my mock, I had the Broncos trade up with the Falcons. So in my mock, Kyle Pitts is on the board. So I have Falcons taking Kyle Pitts here, and possibly getting the best athlete, which I'm sure they would be stoked with.
Yeah, I actually think that your mock is where I think this pick is ideal, right? If I'm Atlanta, I would rather get Pitts at 9 than at 4 because it means you've traded back. You've gotten probably some more ammo, right? You probably got at least one other first-round pick next year or the year after, right? So I think that would be ideal for Atlanta. I obviously didn't go with that scenario. I went with Surtain to the Broncos because if you read my notes there, one of the guys I follow on Twitter has been talking a lot about the Broncos not feeling necessarily like they need a QB this year.
Yeah.
And he's like I was telling you earlier, the guy I follow is Benjamin Albright. He's a Denver-based radio host, I believe, and he's not always right with the NFL, but when it comes to the Broncos, he's usually pretty right. And he's been mentioning them looking at like a Bridgewater. And so that's why you see in my notes, right? Like a lot of talk about them trading for Bridgewater. And just before we started to record, Schefter breaks the news that they traded a 6th-round pick for Bridgewater. Yeah. So I don't see them making that trade, having Drew Lock, and drafting a quarterback this year. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So I figured, they have Fangio there as their head coach still, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think they try to take it back to the old days when they had like Chris Harris out there, Aqib Talib, and I think they go for that true lockdown corner, which I think Surtain probably is. Him or Horn are probably interchangeable. I know a lot of people have Surtain as number 1. But I've also heard Horn's name thrown around, and you'll see I have him going next to the Cowboys. But I think either of those guys could go there. But I chose Surtain because I think he's a little bit better.
Yeah, I like your pick here. So yeah, and just before I forget to mention, since this is technically, in my scenario, the Falcons are slotted in, but there have been talks that the Falcons are open to trading Julio Jones. Basically, they don't have the cap space to pay the people they're going to be drafting because of the rookie contract rules. So just file that away. Julio could be moving. We'll see if that plays into how these picks in the top 10 shake out.
Yeah, the only issue with moving Julio, I believe, is if they do it before June 1st, they actually take a cap hit. Whereas if they do it after June 1st, they get a cap savings, I believe. So I think that will make it harder to trade him tonight. But I could see like a framework of a trade being kind of like figured out. And then we see in a month or two, like some players change places.
Yeah.
That'd be more of an NBA type thing to do. But I could see that happening if like, hey, it's going to work out best for both teams kind of thing. So.
All right. And then, so at number 10, Cowboys, you have the Cowboys taking J.C. Horn, cornerback. I have the Cowboys selecting a corner as well. I have them taking Surtain if he's on the board. So, fills a defensive need. Not sure if you have anything else to add. I mean, defensively, the Cowboys are just bad. The offense is very solid. But yeah, they draft a need here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a dream scenario though for fantasy would be if Kyle Pitts was still on the board and they took him and then they rolled out Amari, Gallup, CD, Pitts, Zeke, Pollard, right? Like that would be a whole lot of fun on offense with a healthy Dak. I would love to see them go, hey, we're going to score 40 a game, try and stop us. I don't see that happening though. So I do expect this to be a defensive player. I went with corner. Got to replace Byron Jones at some point, right?
Yeah. It depends on who's available. Kyle Pitts, if he's there for sure, I think regardless of who else is available, that's going to be their pick. If Surtain's off the board, I can kind of see them maybe doing something crazy, like taking either Waddle or Smith, because Jerry likes making a splash and drafting the second corner off the board that's not from Alabama isn't, quite the splash. Not that, not that Horn is not, a great prospect, but he just likes making headlines with his picks. So, I could see that him getting either one of those wide receivers and just yellowing it, but we'll see. The Giants are at 11. You have them taking Jalen Waddle. I have the Giants also taking Waddle. So yeah, I mean, this helps out Daniel Jones, make or break season for him. Kind of similar logic to the Panthers. They're gonna roll with the QB they have. They're gonna give him a new weapon, and hopefully it works out. I mean, the Giants, they just don't have that wide receiver threat right now. Sterling Shepard's a good possession guy, and
well, they signed Galladay.
Oh, did they? Yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, they signed Galladay. Receiver may not be the pick here, but I've heard a lot of people talk about the Giants wanting to get Daniel Jones more help. So I think receiver makes sense. Saquon looks like he's on pace to start the season opener. And I think it's kind of for the Giants, it's kind of make or break year for Daniel Jones. You gotta figure out what you're really dealing with, because next year I think you got to decide if you want to commit to his 5th-year extension or not, right? So I think they just give him all the weapons they can and see what happens. So
good deal. All right, number 12, the Eagles. I see the Eagles going wide receiver here. Devonta Smith's the best available. They passed on Justin Jefferson last year, who the fans wanted them to take. So I see the pick as wide receiver here. You have a really interesting pick. You have them taking Justin Fields, citing that they're not sold on Jalen Hurts. Can you elaborate, please, on your hot take, sir? It's burning my eyes.
Okay, so this is my thought, right? So a week or two, the new head coach of the Eagles comes out and basically says won't commit to Jalen Hurts, right? Says he's only met players through Zoom or whatever so far, and he's not going to commit to anyone, which in my mind makes me think like he's not completely set on Jalen Hurts. Okay, first off, because you don't usually see, it seems like the whole NFL community is like, oh, Jalen Hurts is the starting QB, blah, 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 blah. New head coach comes in and kind of undercuts that, right? A little confusing to me, but coaches lie, so we don't always know. My pick here is really fueled by the fact that I don't know if they are sold on Hurts, but if they're not, I don't think they can pass up on Fields. I think they're probably 9 out of 10 times going wide receiver here, just like you. And I think that's, as long as there's no trade up in front of them, I think that's likely to be Devonta Smith. But the way my mock fell and Justin Fields was still there, and based on what's been said, I don't know if they're committed to Jalen. I think they go Hurts.
Yeah.
I think they go Fields. Sorry.
it's an interesting pick. It's an interesting mock. We see this happen though. Teams that analysts and dorks like us that have podcasts don't see quarterback as a need. If there's a guy falling, a team will jump on it just to have that. And I mean, it makes sense. The Packers did it last year. They took the guy from UCLA that I'm spacing on, but I mean they had Aaron Rodgers, and anyway they drafted that guy. Why am I spacing on his name?
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. There we go. Kind of in this range. I think they had like the 18th pick or something. But yeah, man, it's not a scenario that's entirely out of the realm of possibility. That puts my Chargers on the clock. I got my Herbert jersey on. The resounding top pick in last year's draft. So I'm getting that energy going. But you have the Chargers taking Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle. I have, which is definitely a need. I see them if Sewell or Slater are available, that is going to be the pick. And then if Surtain or Horn are available, I kind of see those being the pick too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, your mock has all those guys gone. So you have them going offensive tackle. In my mock, I have Horn still available. So I have them getting Horn. It'll be really interesting if the mocks line up the way you have it, if the Chargers trade down or what they do, because supposedly, all the experts are saying Darrisaw is in the next tier down from Slater and Sewell.
Yeah.
But then there's a drop off, like he's in a tier of his own in the second tier. And then after that, it's a large third tier of guys who are good, but might have some concerns. Basically, they could get a third tier guy with their second pick pretty easily, or do they want the guy that is kind of the mid-level?
Right.
But I mean, I agree with you there. I could see them taking him. Darrisaw, he's the Alabama guy, right? Who's coming off of injury, or am I misremembering?
I don't remember off the top of my head, and I didn't include a school.
Barrymore. No, I think that's defensive tackle.
I don't think he's from Alabama though.
Because I know they have an offensive lineman who suffered a back injury, the guy who went in the title game to take a snap, who's supposedly
he's from Virginia Tech.
Okay. So yeah, anywho, like I could see that guy. I'm totally spacing on his name, but I could see him going higher than expected. Anyway, just my thoughts, but yeah, also the Chargers are definitely a trade out candidate, and God, I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, if Devonta Smith goes there, I know it's technically not a need, but I think they need a wide receiver. Yeah, I'll just take off my pants and watch the rest of the draft pantless.
I actually think Devonta Smith to the Chargers would be awesome for Smith because it would take a lot of heat off him right away. His expectations would be more in line with a wide receiver 2-3 than they would like if he goes to Philly, he's their wide receiver 1, right? And he could also go learn from Keenan and all that. I think that would be an interesting setup.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens, though.
We'll see. All right. 14, Vikings. I have Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan, going to the Vikings. I mean, it just fills a defensive need. You have them taking edge rusher Jalen Phillips, former 5-star recruit. Any?
Yeah, I mean, we both have the same position, which I think is really what matters more than the actual player a lot of
Yeah.
times. I just took the guys I was looking at. Phillips happened to be like kind of consensus the best edge there, but
Uh-huh.
I think they go defense and defensive line. It just seems like a very Vikings pick, especially
Yeah.
without a lot of needs offensively currently.
All right. And so 15, I mean, this is where it gets interesting on your board. It's the Patriots. You have them taking Micah Parsons linebacker, who might be the best defensive player in the draft. I have this is the pick where I had the Panthers trade down and the Patriots trade up to get Trey Lance. I have them taking
Right.
Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive tackle or guard out of USC. Again, shoring up that O line. So, any other thoughts on, you don't have the Patriots taking a quarterback here. I think that's
Well,
the main thing to
I actually
discuss.
don't think the Patriots make this pick. I think they either trade up and get a quarterback, or they
Or they
trade
trade
back
out.
and get more picks.
Yeah.
I don't think this pick actually happens like this. But if it did, this seems like a very Patriots pick to me. Micah Parsons, he can rush, he can play the pass, he could step in and be their, defensive captain right away. So he seems like a very Patriots-esque player to me in that sense. And that's kind of why I went that way. But in reality, I don't think this pick actually gets made.
Gotcha. Good deal. All right. Brings us to 16. You have the Cardinals taking Devonta Smith. They have been, I've seen people mocking wide receivers to the Cardinals, and just giving them that massive passing attack. I have them taking safety Trevon Moehrig from TCU, fill in a defensive need. What makes you think Devonta Smith is going to go to the Cardinals? I mean, I guess Larry's aging. Their secondary, Christian Kirk, isn't doing that great. He's not. He's
He's
not.
fine.
Yeah, he's not advancing like you would want him to. Same thing with Andy Isabella. Any
Yeah,
insight
I
on this
think
one?
so. My thought here really is that Cliff likes to play 3 and 4 wide. He likes to play out of the shotgun. I think a lot of that fits what Kyler is good at. Larry's clearly you bring up Christian Kirk, and I think Larry Fitzgerald is the reason Christian Kirk hasn't been what people think he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Larry's kind of just been in the way. Like Kirk is significantly better in the slot, and yet Larry's been there for the last 2 years, right? Like it's like the only place he plays now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's hurt Christian Kirk. But I think if you're the Cardinals and this guy's still available, you don't you just go get more weapons, right? Like you're not picking a defensive player here isn't going to make you a top 5 defense in the league, right? Not that they're terrible or bad even, but like why not try to have a top 5 offense? You know what I mean? I also think even though I'm probably a lot lower on Devonta Smith than you are, I don't think he's going to be a bad player. I just don't think he's going to be like a clear-cut wide receiver 1 ever. I see him like peak being Tyler Lockett in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we disagree on that for sure. But, I could see the Cardinals going wide receiver here. I feel like, maybe a better pick would be improving their defense. But, yeah, I mean, just YOLO and make Kyler Murray a stud. Why not? Especially in that offense. Next up, the Raiders. They always have interesting picks. So I mocked.
I just looked at your Raiders pick.
Yeah, so I mocked kicker Evan McPherson from Florida to the Raiders. You mocked Christian Barmore, defensive tackle. I mean, I think obviously, you know, they're not likely to make a kicker or take a kicker here, but they're not going to do what you expect them to do. They have a quarterback need, I would say. You know, Derek Carr isn't progressing like you would want him to. But yeah, I mean, this could be interesting. They have, you know, they could go freaking running back and just have Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, and then, you know, freaking Najee Harris or ETN or something. They're gonna do something weird. Like they let all their offensive linemen walk. So they need offensive linemen. I don't know what they're gonna do, you know. But Trey Lance is there. Maybe they go Trey Lance. We'll see, man. They could go Trask. Isn't Trask like the 6th QB or 5th QB on a lot of people's boards?
Something like that. Yeah, I could. The Raiders are a hard one to, you know, really get to know. Like they took, what was it? They took 2 D linemen a couple years ago in the first round. You know, really, and I don't think either one of them was really even close to as highly projected as they were taken. So this pick could be really out of the park. I don't think they do what you have, taking a kicker, but I also wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, like all options are on the board, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting when they go on the clock for sure. Dolphins, their 2nd pick in the first round. You have them taking Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher, I believe out of Miami, and I have them taking Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. So my logic here is this is a bonus pick. I mean, I guess it's technically the pick that they were allotted, but due to their trade they have from the Eagles, they have the number 6 pick. So in my mind, this is a free pick. They have Myles Gaskin as their leading rusher, who did pretty well. I think he's better than people give him credit for, but since this is a luxury pick, at least the way I'm viewing it, I could see them getting a top running back here. Harris has the Alabama connection with Tua, but those are my thoughts. I don't know how likely it is. I mean, you have him taking a defensive edge rusher, and they could certainly need improvement on the defensive line. I don't know if you have anything else to add on to that, but those are my thoughts.
Not really. I mean, these next few picks, I think, are all defense for me, which are kind of boring. Not that deep, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, defense is obviously necessary, but they're probably players that a lot of people don't know, haven't heard of, right? I just think the Dolphins are a smart team, or at least they seem to be heading that way. And smart teams tend to build through the interior out. And I just think while they could improve at running back, I think running back is more of a luxury than a necessity.
Yeah.
So I think if they take a running back, it happens in round 3 or 4, not in round 1.
Yeah.
Personally.
Next up, the Washington football team, you have them selecting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? Owosu.
Something like that.
I have back-to-back running backs going. I mean, dude, how boosted are your T levels after looking at my mock draft?
It's the graph.
You're welcome. So yeah, I have back-to-back hashtag establish. I have ETN going there, running back from Clemson. Um, their defense is already one of the best in the league with they're gosh, man. Chase Young, right? Chase Young, the guy, Ohio State. If it was not Herbert or Justin Jefferson being the best pick in last year's draft, I mean, Chase Young is a monster. So the defense is great. They have Fitzpatrick. I could see them. They have Gibson there, who I don't know why they didn't use in the passing game, and he did good, but he got hurt. So I could just see them, in the need for some positive PR, going running back and building up their offense and kind of going for it in that NFC East that is just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I just don't think running backs are that valued anymore. I don't think any of these running backs really garner the top pick status necessarily.
Yeah.
So I don't see it happening, especially because they have Gibson. I believe they still have McKissick there as well. So I just went with what seems like a logical pick, and that would be Washington improving on the defensive side of the ball, because it seems like something they would do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of thought going into that.
20, the Chicago Bears, you have them taking Greg Newsome, the second cornerback. I have the Bears taking Rashad Bateman, a wide receiver. I didn't put much thought into it other than, the Bears not knowing what to do in drafting a wide receiver in round one. That does not make a splash, seems on brand. They could also target a quarterback. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I actually like Bateman. I think that would be a good pick for the Bears personally. It doesn't seem like a very Bears pick to me, while taking a corner does. So.
Gotcha. All right. So at 21, the Colts are on the clock. You have them taking Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher, adding to their defense. And I have the Colts taking Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle from Virginia Tech, to build up the hashtag establish for Jonathan Taylor, who has been getting much hype.
Yeah, I mean, if Darrisaw were still there for me, I might go that route. But again, Colts are a solid franchise, so I think if what you want offensively isn't there, you just keep building the defense. And I don't know if they need a whole lot offensively other than Carson Wentz to play well and to stay healthy.
Uh-huh.
So I think they continue improving the defense and go with, I mean, everyone needs more pass rushing. Every team in the league does. So, I figure they go that route.
Good deal. Tennessee Titans at 22. I got Jalen Phillips, edge rusher from Miami, upgrading one of the worst defenses in 2020. Their defense was just terrible. You have them taking Kwity Paye, so they can play smash mouth football. Isn't it exotic? What do they call it? Exotic
smash mouth, I think.
Yeah,
is what
exotic smash mouth on the defense. I like it, but yeah, we're both on the same page. Their defense sucks. Get help. The Jets have the 23rd pick from the Seattle Seahawks. You have them taking cornerback Eric Stokes. You got that defensive-minded head coach there, which you cite, with Salah going there from the Niners. And I have the Jets taking an edge rusher from Miami, Rousseau, who you had go earlier. And again, one of the worst defenses, upgrade. Not much else to say there other than they need to get to the quarterback. They need to stop other teams from scoring. This guy helps out.
Yep.
The Steelers, this is going to be interesting. I have two running backs going earlier because, my T levels are just peaking.
That high?
Yeah, and we both have them taking running back, which, I mean, it seems like they've been hinting, James Conner went away. Ben, needs help. You have them taking Najee Harris. I have them taking Trey Sermon, who I think is the next best running back, but that's just me. So I mean, the main thing is you have Najee Harris over ETN, or do you just think the Steelers have him over ETN?
It seems like Harris is kind of the consensus RB1. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's kind of what I gather. So that's why I have him there. But he
Gotcha.
also seems to like fit what they do. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He's a big body, runs hard. Just seems like a very Steelers player to me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what the Steelers do, but if a running back has not been taken yet, this could very well be where the first one goes off the board. Jaguars have the 25th pick. You have them taking Elijah Vera Tucker, USC. From USC, I have them taking Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from Florida. Drafting the first weapon for Trevor Lawrence. I could see Urban Meyer wanting to get his offense going, and he has that Florida connection. But I mean, the Jaguars have so many needs. This can really be anything. They could also trade out if somebody's falling, accumulate more picks. But we'll see here. 26. Your Browns. You have them taking Zaven Collins, linebacker. I have them taking inside linebacker, Jamin Davis, who's an athletic freak. And I mean, it seems like the Browns really do their homework on prospects like this. Plus, like Jamin is just an awesome name. It sounds like a Brown. I mean, what are your thoughts on the Browns here?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a little disappointing just because I think you want to hear like a bigger name or like a splash player, but I think it's probably along the right move. I've also seen some people think they might take a D lineman to pair with Clowney and Myles Garrett. But we'll see. I do think it's defense kind of no matter what. They get OBJ back, should be healthy. Jarvis is there. Donovan Peoples-Jones looked decent last year. You still got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield, and another year in that offense. So I think things improve. But yeah, this just seems to make a lot of sense, them going defense somehow.
Good deal. The Ravens at 27, they need a wide receiver. You have them taking Joe Tryon, edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
I have them taking the same guy. No, I have them taking
different
Jason
guy, but same position.
Yeah, linebacker, Penn State. Everyone's thinking they're going to go wide receiver. I think the Ravens pass and take a defensive player instead. Looks like you do as well. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens do for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're on similar page there. 28. The Saints, you have them taking Elijah Moore, who is some people have as the number 4 wide receiver prospect, to help Jameis or Taysom Hill. I have them taking Asante Samuel, cornerback from Florida State, and I mean, on the draft list that I checked, he was like a 13th ranked cornerback, but for some reason, a lot of people are mocking Asante Samuel to the Saints. So I was like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, I just think they bolster the offense, right? Like Drew's not there anymore. So why not, give whoever your next quarterback is. Seems like it's going to be Jameis, even though they gave Taysom the contract. You know, the options behind Kamara and Michael Thomas are not very good. So why not help them out?
Yeah. Next up, Green Bay Packers, who didn't finish the deal last season and lost me some betting money. I've been taking Landon Dickerson, center from Alabama. They lost their center, their Pro Bowl center to the Chargers. So that space is free. He's the best center on the board in the draft. I see them going that. You have them taking Rashad Bateman. Yeah, to help out Rodgers in the passing game. Anything to add there?
Not a whole lot. I think Bateman's solid. A lot of people seem to really like him. But you know, I think your pick is definitely a much more of a Green Bay Packers pick. But I would love to see them get another like real receiver there instead of just relying on Lazard and MVS as like a makeshift number 2.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they do need a wide receiver help there, but you know, we'll see what they do. The Bills have the 30th pick. I have them taking edge rusher Azeez Ojulari. Fills a defensive need. Their defense was not great. And you have them taking offensive tackle Dylan Raduns. Made a huge improvements last year. Hopefully gets Josh Allen more protection. You have the Ravens at 31. I believe it's the Chiefs at 31. So I have the Chiefs taking.
Oh, I may have included them. Yeah, my bad. I think the list I looked at, or I copied it wrong. Just remove them.
The Chiefs needed offensive line
help. The
help.
Chiefs traded their first round pick.
Did they?
Yeah, they traded it for Orlando Brown.
Okay, so that's not my bad.
Ravens. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you have the Ravens taking a safety here and doubling down on upgrading their defense because you had them take a linebacker here. Interesting.
Yeah, I just think the wide receiver class is deep, and maybe I think they're going to draft a wide receiver. I just don't know if they invest this heavily into it. And maybe the guy they want isn't there. So they clearly wanted a safety last year. That's why they signed Earl Thomas, and that did not work out. So I think they just take the best safety in the draft and go from there.
Yeah. And then last pick of the first round, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have them taking wide receiver Rondale Moore. I have them taking a defensive tackle, Barrymore. You know, they're returning a lot of players, so I could just a lot of starters. So, you know, it feels like the offense is set. I feel like they could go defensive tackle here. However, I did hear that they're considering like running back. I think I heard that if ETN is available, like that's going to be their pick, supposedly. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that's what we have. Do you have any thoughts on your pick with Moore going there or anything?
Yeah, I mean, Moore is, I think, less than a 5% chance to go there. But I like looking at their team. You can always improve, but they're bringing back all 22 starters. They just today re-signed Antonio Brown. But my thought was maybe they go receiver because the only receiver they have under contract past next year, I believe, is Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chris Godwin's on a franchise tag, and I'm pretty sure Antonio Brown just signed like a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So my thought is maybe you get a potential replacement. Also, we saw all the injuries to all those receivers last year. They all seem to miss time at some point or another. So why not just add to that to make sure your 4,800-year-old quarterback can always has weapons, because we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, if he doesn't have weapons to throw to, he has not been very good. Notably, his last couple of years with the Patriots. So, yeah.
4,800-year-old quarterback. Could you be talking about the less mobile Mac Jones as I hear
exactly
San Francisco fans are referring to Tom Brady? Tom Brady's a less mobile, less athletic Mac Jones.
Yep.
Definitely not gonna regret those words from that person. All right, man. That wraps up our mock draft. So, I mean, you're probably gonna have more hits. However, if this happens, maybe we go viral if mine happens and the Jets take Justin Fields. I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, overall, yours is probably gonna be more accurate. What do you guys think? Let us know. DM at FCYMixer on Twitter. Interact with us. But yeah, that's gonna do it. It's PF Chang's time, Jeff. Unless you got anything else.
I do not. Have a good day. Enjoy the draft.
All right, let's get it. Catch you guys later. See ya.
See ya.